So, what about our audience? Are you guys ready to start MarineKing versus XiaOt?
It's MarineKing Prime. I actually want him to win this tournament. I love everyone else, but I feel like, he's been in so many finals, and I always feel disappointed. Like, disappointed with number 2 in the best uh, league in the world. It's kind of, like, sad. You should be like, holy crap, I'm amazing. I've been a finalist 3 times, but he's like, always disappointed. So I just want him to win something huge like this amazing tournament.
Yeah, it's kind of reminds me of Stork from Brood War, where he was the Silver Surfer for so long, getting second place constantly. So it would be nice to see MarineKing take first place in something like a big tournament, and we'll see if this will be it. But XiaOt not gonna roll over and just let him have it. So we've got a Terran versus Protoss. I think chat's ready. They responded in mostly capitals at me, so I think they're ready to get started. Once again, you ready to go here?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's get going in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, everyone, welcome back. This is Railcoon with Elaine Sun alongside for iCCup Television. Thank you for tuning in. We've got the last match of the night for Gigabyte Stars War 6. This is the last match of the round of 32. For everybody who's been asking about Idra MVP, MVP did have to withdraw due to scheduling conflicts. And since this is the last group of the round of 32, they weren't really able to work anything out. So Idra did advance. MVP, sadly, not going to see him play. So our final match of the night is going to be MarineKing versus XiaOt. We see XiaOt is going to be the red Protoss in the top right-hand corner. Very, very good Chinese player. Made it through that hell of a bracket for the Chinese qualifiers. I mean, anybody who made it through there, that's an impressive feat on their own. Right, and down in the bottom left here on Xel'Naga Caverns, we see the one, the only, the MarineKing. I know he's got as many anti-fans as he has actual fans because of the way that he plays, but he's a strong competitor and really looking forward to see how he does against XiaOt here on Xel'Naga Caverns. It's a great starting match in a series because it's so standard, It's very well balanced for a Blizzard map, and we'll get to see how this plays out in a really good starting map here.
Most of the Chinese players are saying that XiaOt is the best Chinese player right now, so I feel like if anyone was going to make it out of those crazy qualifiers, it would be him. I mean, people talk about Loner a lot, but I think that XiaOt has completely surpassed him lately. There's just so much hype saying that he is the best. On the other hand, MarineKing Prime, 3-time finalist, etc., etc. Amazing, amazing player. You can always count on him to produce consistently good results.
Yeah.
We've had players like, MVP, sometimes Super Champion, sometimes Code A. MVP always Code S, consistently great results.
Yeah, so really looking forward to seeing what MarineKing's going to do here. And we see the first Marine on the way. So, of course, he has to make the Marines. He's MarineKing. If he ever switched out of Marines to pure mech, I think people would revolt. Just because you're MarineKing, you're doing it wrong. He still needs to win a GSL because he's not allowed to be Optimus Prime until he wins a GSL. Or if you remember back to the first couple times where he's up in the top 2.
I was so sad.
People were telling him he needed to change his name to Optimus Prime, and he said he couldn't do that until he was the best Prime member, and he still hasn't managed to secure that spot. So we'll see, maybe if he can win this tournament, he can take Optimus Prime and make us all giggle a little bit. But do have a factory on the way. There's a reactor being produced at this barracks, so looking like we're probably going to see a Marine tank opening from MarineKing. Big surprise! And on the other side of the field, we waiting to see what XiaOt's going for. He does drop that Nexus. He was up at around 450 minerals, and be interesting to see if he takes the risk here or not, because a fast expansion into tech is always going to be a risky play, but sometimes when you're playing the best players in the world, you have to take risks. But it looks like he's just going to be dropping these gateways instead of going for anything too risky. Get units out to protect himself.
Play. Yeah, he got those second gases very early, put down that factory, is getting the tech lab on this factory, so definitely going for some early Banshee play, which could be bad since XiaOt did go for the early expansion, but if he gets enough stalkers out, I don't know, if he goes 3-gate robo from here, he'll be fine. But he needs that robo soon, because, you know, the starport is already halfway complete.
Yeah, but that's the
Has
difficult part. Like I was saying, when you go for an expansion into a tech building like robotics, it cuts into your unit count and means that you usually wind up being in a lot of trouble against an early timing. And since you're playing MarineKing, you don't really want to put yourself in a situation where you're at risk to an early timing, seeing as he made himself known for, you know, just Marine SCV shenanigans so effectively. So that's kind of, you know, an interesting situation where, you know, he really needs that robotics, but he doesn't want to drop it too quickly just because it's MarineKing. And we do see first Banshee is on the way. He's going to be at 200 gas here in a second. He hasn't started Siege upgrade, so I do think he's probably going to start that cloaking upgrade, just because of the fact that he didn't go for that Siege tech. But
it looks like XiaOt dropped his robo at a perfect time. He's going to be able to have that observer chrono boosted out by the time cloak is finished. So I don't see him struggling too much with this. It will keep him kind of in his base for a while. He won't be able to get as much map control with the Banshee around constantly being a threat there. I don't think he's actually going to get cloak though, yeah.
Yeah, he did actually skip it. He started another tank and went for the Siege upgrade. He waited so long to get Siege that I was thinking he might have been going for it, but he did withdraw. He's not going to go for that extra investment. Going for Cloak against a Protoss player is generally considered as a little bit more of a risk. So MarineKing's not going to quite go for that. He's just going to take this really big Marine tank force, pull about 7 or 8 workers, and take that Banshee along for the ride. So here we go. MarineKing, he's got a really big force here. He's pushing across the map. XiaOt did see some of this, but I don't think he saw all of it that was behind it. And now he's going to run into the huge army here from MarineKing. Siege mode just finished, so he will be able to siege up over here by the gold base and slowly push forward. If he can get some bunkers up, get those siege tanks into position, get a few more Banshees on the field, this is going to be pretty difficult for XiaOt to deal with.
Anyway, so, yeah, Chrono boosting a lot of gateways right now to try and get his unit count up. Needs to get some more units because he knows he has this, you know, scary force outside. Needs to be able to break it with Stalkers. There are a lot of Marines and a Banshee down. This is an interesting build. We usually see, you know, like maybe a Raven with this push if it's going to be so early.
Yeah, but if you look at it, XiaOt did manage to sneak out some units, including an Immortal, over to the side, so he's going to try and hit MarineKing from 3 different directions at once. So there's too many units here on the field. You can see the Immortal coming in from behind and focus firing the tanks.
Brilliant.
He actually managed to get that Immortal in with all the tanks and take them all out while the Stalkers and the Probes got in with the Marines and cleared out all of those units. So great job by XiaOt clearing out that attack, sneaking that Immortal down to the right really helped him turn the tides of that battle. He lost a lot of Probes, but still, if you look back to MarineKing, he's only got 20 SCVs. So he's going to be perfectly fine. He has his Nexus up. MarineKing hasn't even started a command center yet, so he's in a great position now after taking out all those tanks with that Immortal. Really, really well done.
Wow, I am so impressed by that. I can't tell you how many dozens, hundreds of games of PvT I've seen on Xel'Naga. In fact, probably over in the 3 digits of games alone with Terran playing against Protoss with a tank Marine push, and I haven't seen the triple flank with an Immortal sneaking into the tanks as the Marines push forward. That was just pure tactical win.
Yeah, that was just outplayed is the only way I can put that. You know, he just got his units into a great position. He knew that MarineKing's units weren't really going to be able to stop him from sending a few units over in that area. You can see he's keeping this Banshee out of his natural with these Stalkers. So he's making sure that MarineKing can't do the one thing that's going to put him back in this game, is, you know, just Banshee harass like a madman, kill some workers, delay until he can get his expansion. So he's doing a good job of making sure that doesn't happen. Probably going to have to watch out for a late cloak, because that would also be a possibility. But he's got the Observer in the base, so he's watching the army of MarineKing. He'd probably be able to fly over just a little bit and see if cloak is on the way. So it looks like he's in just a really good position right now, going for that Blink upgrade. And with a really late expansion from MarineKing, he's just going to pull ahead in the army composition really, really effectively.
I love that he knows that he couldn't kill him on one base, but he knows that he's ahead, so he's continuously chrono boosting workers out instead of, trying to get any units. He knows he doesn't need any more units to defend, so he's pulling way ahead in the harvester count, 40 to 28 right now. And he has his expansion up, could possibly have taken another one, but didn't really want to risk that against Terran with siege tanks. But just trying to pull ahead really far right now. Blink Stalker is a great decision against the composition, going to be strong against Marines, really strong against siege tanks. A MarineKing going, by his namesake, going to make more Marines, more standard stock. Probably going to spread his Marines a bit more after that crazy flank so you can make sure that they're protected even from behind. But he's turtling up hard right now, which I'm not sure if that's the best decision, because if he turtles up hard, Protoss is just going to macro it way ahead of him and continue to stay ahead of him.
Yeah, this is a really, really difficult position for MarineKing. His expansion's late. He needs to try and get a way of getting that command center down into his natural. But look at that, blinking onto the high ground in the center of the map with the vision on that watchtower, taking out two of the Banshees as they're trying to fly by. So the Banshee threat for MarineKing significantly lessened there. The total count is now down to just those two. And that's going to make things even more difficult. Here comes XiaOt. He's going to blink right on top of the tanks and take out most of the siege tanks on the high ground while the Zealots run into the Marines. He's actually going to force field the ramp and actually just keep MarineKing out of his own base, trying to take out as much of the production as he can. There goes another free Banshee. XiaOt is just doing a great job outmaneuvering MarineKing in this game, and that's not a sentence you'd think you'd hear in a high-level tournament like that.
Right, I mean, people don't really know the Chinese players as much, so they're probably expecting MarineKing to dominate him, but he has played so beautifully. Wow, do you see this micro with the stalkers? All these low HP stalkers blinked on the low ground, do as much damage as they possibly can before running away. He did so much damage. There are 40 to 18 harvesters. MarineKing finally has a second base up, isn't even mining there because there are 4 stalkers over here on the right. There's no way for him to come back.
Yeah. So he is forced to throw out the GG. Just there's no possible way. He finally has that command center landed, but look at the worker count. It's 18 to 50. He's just so ridiculously far behind, even with mules. It's just not going to happen. And if you look back onto his main, he's completely mined out. So he'd basically be going from one base to one base. He's not really going to be hitting an increase in income if he even started mining there. So really, really well played by XiaOt. Big props to him, and once again showing that these Chinese players, they're pretty deadly. We've seen a lot of really good play from them so far, and that was a really just well executed game. And normally you don't expect somebody to beat MarineKing by outmaneuvering them, but that's what XiaOt did, and that's extremely impressive.
He's really holding up to the reputation of being the best Chinese player because he's actually the only Chinese player to make it out, or not. Well, he hasn't made it out yet. But if he were to win another game, then he would be the only Chinese player to make it out from this week's games. That was so well played. He outplayed him completely in that first battle. MarineKing, he kind of invested so heavily in that push doing damage. He needed that push to do damage because Protoss had that base up, and he just didn't. And after that, it would have been nearly impossible for him to catch up. Unless, he did something incredibly stupid, like walk all of his stalkers past siege tanks. I really like the metagame with Blink Stalkers right now. It's being used extremely effectively in all 3 matchups for Protoss. People have learned that with good micro, Blink Stalkers are incredibly powerful. People said that gateway units are super weak, just need the tech, but if you have Blink and good micro like he had just now, blinking back those weak stalkers, you can do incredible amounts of damage.
I think it's just the fact that Blink is one of the most game-changing abilities in the game. Like, it's probably one of the highest skill cap. Like, it's not that hard to do mediocre Blink micro, but when you do it at the highest level, the highest APM, while doing like 4 other things at the same time, it completely changes the game. A situation where normally the stalkers aren't really that favor, they can turn it around and win that battle. Like, as we saw Ace doing like 400 APM Blink micro. It's just the stalkers are able to suddenly take on unit compositions that they couldn't before, but only at the very, very top level of really well played micro. So it's really just interesting ability to watch. And we've seen it, around from players like Tyler, Kiwikaki, Nazgul, doing a couple of really just insane Blink games previously. But it's really starting to spread around a whole lot more, especially to the Koreans and the other super really talented players, and starting to see it used to its best ability. That's really exciting. But now we are going to take a quick commercial break before we start game number 2 between MarineKing and XiaOt. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with game number 2. I'm excited. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Oh, I'm so excited to see more XiaOt because, he was so hyped up, and I was like, I hope he doesn't, disappoint horribly. And he's like, the best Chinese player is completely mowed over by MVP.
that would be really unfortunate. Like,
I would be very sad if people were like, he's so awesome, he beats Loner, he beats everybody, and then just gets stomped by some Korean.
Yeah.
Not some Korean, obviously.
Especially since I actually met a decent number of the really good Chinese players, because back in the beta, Panda Clan, when they were still around, was actually practice partners of Root Gaming. So they'd come over onto the North American server and they'd play, and they were all really nice guys. We'd actually just randomly play like Blood Pressure Marathon or something and just have fun. And so I've seen them play it way back in the beta. They were all really good. They're all really cool guys. And it's good to see them starting to get some representation, taking on, other top world players and doing well.
Right. XiaOt has actually been playing since, long time ago in the beta. So he's been playing the entire time, as long as Loner has, and it really shows. He's constantly improved his play. I mean, I've seen his games back. I remember seeing replays of him cast in beta against, Damaga and